Imagine thinking the Dutton family could finally breathe, that the endless battles, betrayals, and heartbreaks of Yellowstone were behind them, only to step onto a sprawling Texas ranch and realize the war has just changed landscapes, not ended. Peace is a luxury, and control over Dutton Ranch comes at a price higher than anyone could have imagined. Rivalries sharpen like knives in the sun, secrets hide in plain sight, and new threats emerge that could topple everything Beth, Rip, and their allies have ever fought for. The world of Yellowstone isn't just expanding, it's exploding. Are the Duttons truly ready to face enemies who think 3 steps ahead, and will the land they claim become the graveyard of their dreams? Beth Dutton and Rip Wheeler arrive at Dutton Ranch, a massive 7,000-acre stretch of untamed Texas land, imagining a life of quiet mornings and wide-open skies. But the tranquility is an illusion. As soon as they step onto the property, it becomes painfully clear that the calm of the horizon hides storms more vicious than anything Yellowstone ever threw at them. Rivals are already watching, shrewd, ambitious figures who measure every move, calculating how to seize control of the ranch for themselves. The early moments of the first episode show Beth surveying the land, her sharp eyes scanning for opportunity, while Rip moves with a deliberate protective instinct, knowing that every footstep across this vast property is an invitation to conflict. Even their initial attempts to settle in, mapping grazing areas, planning expansions, organizing resources, unintentionally send signals to outside eyes. What seems like a simple decision about land use is actually a message, and in this world, every message carries consequences. Rival ranchers emerge almost immediately, each with motives that range from greed to personal vendettas. Business moguls with ambitions bigger than the horizon arrive, their presence subtle but menacing, offering alliances that feel too good to be true. And just when Beth and Rip start feeling some control, the shadows of the past creep back into their new world. Secrets from Yellowstone, grudges held by people they thought long gone, and betrayals they never saw coming threaten to follow them into Texas. It's a universe where no move is trivial, no ally unquestionable, and every handshake could conceal a dagger. The first days on the ranch highlight how different this environment is from Montana. The challenges of Texas ranch life are not just physical, they're psychological. Managing 7,000 acres requires strategy, diplomacy, and an instinct for danger that must evolve daily. Every new character introduced, workers, neighbors, distant relatives, even strangers passing through, carries potential risk. One misstep could spark a conflict that spreads across the entire property. Beth's cunning is matched only by her enemy's willingness to exploit weaknesses, while Rip's reliance on strength and instinct is tested by a world where brute force is not always enough. As the Duttons explore their land, tensions flare in unexpected ways. Small negotiations with neighboring ranchers quickly escalate into standoffs over boundaries and resources. Local business interests make moves designed to undercut them, while whispers of betrayal spread among even the most trusted staff. Beth quickly realizes that the same tenacity that kept her alive in Yellowstone will not just protect her here, it will be required in every conversation, every deal, every glance across the sprawling fields. Rip, meanwhile, begins to understand that loyalty alone cannot safeguard their dream. It must be paired with strategy, foresight, and a readiness to strike when the moment demands. Then a new figure enters the scene, a force unlike any other the Duttons have faced. Her presence is subtle at first, a ripple in the calm, but soon it becomes a tidal wave. She is charming, ruthless, and strategically brilliant, and her ambitions are clear. The Dutton Ranch will either bow to her or fall. Beth recognizes a formidable adversary, one that challenges her intellect and emotional control simultaneously, while Rip senses the physical and strategic dangers converging in ways he has never encountered. Even the first small interactions between this newcomer and the Duttons reveal a mind that anticipates moves before they are made, forcing both Beth and Rip to question how well they can trust their own instincts. The first week also introduces allies whose presence complicates as much as it supports. A seasoned veterinarian becomes a moral compass and strategic guide, teaching lessons not just about land or livestock, but about patience, observation, and the long game of survival. Young heirs and free-spirited newcomers inject vitality and unpredictability into the ranch, their inexperience a potential liability, but also a spark of energy that could shift the balance in unforeseen ways. Even loyal right-hand men carry shadows in their past, testing the fine line between trust and caution, obedience and autonomy. As the tension escalates, Beth and Rip are forced to confront the unthinkable. Survival on this ranch will demand more than knowledge or brute force. It will demand a constant awareness that threats are everywhere, hidden in the land, in alliances, in deals, and in the ambitions of those who appear closest. Every choice becomes a strategic move in a high-stakes game, and every action has consequences far beyond what is visible. And just when they begin to feel some semblance of control, it becomes obvious. The real battle has only just begun. Are Beth and Rip ready to confront an enemy who seems to anticipate every move, or will the Dutton Ranch claim them before they even understand the rules of this new game?
Just as Beth and Rip begin to feel they've established some control over the sprawling Dutton Ranch, the reality hits hard. Threats are not only external, they are deeply embedded within the ranch itself. Every corner of the property holds secrets, and even the most loyal allies carry shadows from their past. Small disagreements among the ranch hands begin to surface, and minor miscommunications escalate into tensions that could ignite full-blown conflict. Rip realizes that maintaining control is no longer about muscle alone. Strategy, intuition, and vigilance are essential because danger now wears many faces. Beulah Jackson's presence grows like a storm sweeping across the plains. Her charm and intellect are matched only by a ruthless ambition that pushes everyone she encounters to question their loyalties. She is a master manipulator, turning friends into cautious observers and making rivals doubt their own instincts. Every move Beth makes is mirrored, tested, and countered, forcing her to constantly adapt and rethink her strategies. The psychological warfare intensifies, and the ranch becomes a battleground not just of land and power, but of intellect and will. Each encounter with Beulah feels like a calculated trap designed to expose a weakness, a hesitation, a moment of doubt. Rip faces his own challenges. Physical confrontation is no longer enough. Strategic thinking becomes the new battlefield. Rivals like Rob Will and the morally ambiguous fixer, Juan Pablo Rabas' character, operate in ways that are unpredictable and relentless, testing Rip's instincts and forcing him to consider consequences before acting. Every negotiation becomes a test of judgment. Every deal carries potential peril. Even the simplest conversations are laden with risk, and Rip must protect not only the land, but the people who depend on him. Meanwhile, young Carter begins to understand the weight of legacy. The freedom of youth collides with responsibility in ways that threaten to overwhelm him. Every misstep, every lapse in judgment risks not only his safety, but the future of the ranch. Oriana's energy and unpredictability further complicate matters, as her daring actions, though well-intentioned, place her and those around her in jeopardy. Watching them, Beth and Rip are forced to balance guidance with protection, mentorship with discipline, knowing that every lesson must be learned quickly in a world that punishes error ruthlessly. Even loyal allies face moral dilemmas. Azul, steadfast and capable, confronts situations that test his loyalty to Rip against his own judgment and sense of justice. The seasoned veterinarian Everett McKinney offers counsel and support, but even his wisdom cannot eliminate the complexity of threats now converging on the ranch. Every decision made by the Duttons ripples outward, attracting attention, creating vulnerabilities, and igniting unforeseen consequences. External threats compound these internal struggles. Land disputes escalate as opportunistic neighbors exploit weaknesses. Business players maneuver with subtle aggression, crafting schemes that could bankrupt, destabilize, or control the Dutton Ranch without firing a single shot.
Beulah's strategic brilliance ensures that attacks are multidimensional, psychological, financial, and physical. The Duttons are no longer fighting single battles. They are defending their legacy on multiple fronts simultaneously, and the landscape itself has become an adversary. Tension builds as the first week transitions into the second. Secrets begin to surface, revealing hidden motives and untold connections. Rivals who seemed harmless are revealed to have long-term plans to seize power. Alliances formed in haste now show cracks, and the thin line between friend and enemy blurs. Beth and Rip are forced to make decisions that will define not only the future of the ranch, but the fate of everyone who calls it home. Each choice carries consequences they cannot yet fully see, and every move is scrutinized by eyes both seen and unseen. Amid these pressures, an even darker question emerges. What if the biggest threat isn't Beulah Jackson, Rob Will, or any rival outside the Dutton Ranch, but someone within their own walls? Could betrayal from a trusted ally undo years of struggle in a single act? As storms gather on the horizon, one chilling reality becomes impossible to ignore. At Dutton Ranch, every shadow could conceal an enemy, every friendly gesture could mask a trap, and survival demands a vigilance that never rests. Who among the Duttons' allies can truly be trusted, and who is waiting for the perfect moment to strike?
Just when Beth and Rip begin to feel some measure of control over Dutton Ranch, the reality of their new world hits with brutal clarity. No ground is safe, and every victory invites a counterstrike. Beulah Jackson's presence intensifies, her cunning now matched by audacity. She infiltrates networks, spreads whispers, and manipulates situations so carefully that even the most loyal ranch hands begin to question what's real. Every conversation, every deal, every handshake could conceal deception. It's no longer enough to rely on instinct. Beth and Rip must predict moves, counter manipulations, and anticipate threats before they even arise. The ranch becomes a living, breathing battlefield where loyalty, strategy, and survival intersect in ways more dangerous than any confrontation in Yellowstone. Rival ranchers, who at first seemed distant and harmless, now emerge with plans meticulously designed to destabilize the Duttons. Land disputes flare, operations are sabotaged subtly but effectively, and influential business figures maneuver behind the scenes, plotting control over the Duttons' assets. The external pressures combine with internal conflicts to create a volatile environment. Even minor disagreements among the staff over resource allocation, boundaries, or responsibilities threaten to spiral into full-blown crises. Rip and Beth are forced to mediate, strategize, and defend not only their land, but their people. Every choice is a risk, and one miscalculation could trigger disaster. Inside the ranch, alliances shift in unpredictable ways. Carter, learning the harsh realities of inheritance, begins to confront the gap between youthful recklessness and the demands of legacy. Oriana, with her free spirit and daring energy, complicates dynamics further, as her actions often spark tension while also inspiring hope. Loyal figures like Azul continue to support Rip, yet even their unquestioned commitment cannot prevent friction caused by moral dilemmas, differing perspectives, and the complex demands of running a massive ranch under siege. The intricate web of human relationships now becomes as dangerous as the threats outside the gates. Beth's strategic brilliance is put to the ultimate test. Beulah's moves force her to act with surgical precision, predicting counterattacks while keeping her emotions in check. Every plan must be layered, every decision calculated, as a single slip could have cascading consequences. Rip, accustomed to relying on strength and instinct, faces situations where force alone fails. He must navigate treacherous waters, managing the staff, confronting rivals, and protecting his family, all while thinking 10 moves ahead.
Even the ranch itself becomes a test, as vast land, hidden terrain, and resources are both a blessing and a vulnerability, offering opportunity but also exposure to enemies. The tension escalates further with the introduction of morally ambiguous characters like Rob Will and Juan Pablo Raba's Fixer. Their motives are unclear, and their loyalties constantly shift. They operate in shadows, their interventions simultaneously helping and threatening the Duttons' plans. Even small actions, moving livestock, negotiating deals, or managing operations, carry hidden stakes. The Duttons quickly realize that survival depends not just on reacting, but anticipating, manipulating, and staying one step ahead of every potential threat. Meanwhile, deeper secrets and betrayals come to light. Figures who seemed steadfast reveal hidden motives, alliances fracture, and the thin line between friend and foe becomes increasingly blurred. The ranch, once envisioned as a safe haven, becomes a crucible where trust is tested, loyalty is questioned, and the price of error is painfully clear. Every day brings new challenges, schemes against the ranch, confrontations with rivals, and unexpected disasters that threaten to unravel years of hard work. Amid this chaos, one terrifying realization emerges. The greatest danger may not be from the obvious enemies. Someone close to the Duttons, someone trusted, someone seemingly loyal, could wield influence that undermines everything. And with every move Beth and Rip make, that invisible threat grows stronger, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As the stakes escalate and the Dutton Ranch teeters on the edge of chaos, one question dominates every thought. Can Beth and Rip outmaneuver a rival as clever, ruthless, and relentless as Beulah Jackson, or will betrayal from within leave them vulnerable to a catastrophe that could destroy everything they fought to build? The Dutton Ranch, once a dream of peace and legacy, now stands as a battlefield of strategy, betrayal, and survival. Beth and Rip, having faced threats from every direction, finally confront the harshest truth. Their enemies are not just outsiders, not just rival ranchers or business magnates. They're a mix of old grudges, new alliances, and unpredictable players who know the land, the people, and the Duttons themselves intimately. Every move made over the past weeks has set the stage for a confrontation that will decide the future of the ranch and the fate of everyone on it. Beulah Jackson, whose presence has been a constant shadow, escalates her campaign. She doesn't just aim to take control of the ranch, she seeks to dominate the Duttons psychologically, socially, and strategically. Her intelligence, foresight, and ruthlessness create a game where Beth and Rip must anticipate threats before they emerge, where every conversation could mask a trap, and one misstep might unravel their carefully constructed defenses. Beth, whose own instincts are razor-sharp, finds herself tested like never before as she navigates a battlefield of manipulation, deceit, and high-stakes negotiation. Rip, equally formidable, realizes that physical strength is only one weapon in a war where cunning, foresight, and the ability to read intentions are the true keys to survival. Allies, too, are put to the ultimate test. Carter, stepping into a leadership role, experiences the consequences of every action, learning that youth and enthusiasm can be both a strength and a liability in a world ruled by strategy and danger. Oriana's free spirit and daring energy injects energy and unpredictability, forcing the team to adapt constantly. Azul, Everett McKinney, and other loyal figures face moral dilemmas and danger.